Ringing up Mr. Graeme Kenna, the Solicitor for Bradford Council.
This is the voicemail of Graeme Kenna from the Legal Department for Adult Services in Bradford Council. Please leave a message and I will get back to you.
After you've finished your message, just hang up. Or to hear more options, please press 1.
Oh yes, hello Mr. Kenna, it's Mr. Hussain here. Once again leaving yourself a message regarding determining the whereabouts of my brother Talib and to know under what legal framework you've abducted him and taken him into your unlawful care and custody. And today is the Sunday, the 15th of October 2023, and now it's been 68 days that we have absolutely no knowledge or whereabouts of our brother. My sister and myself are worried sick for her, and you understand as a solicitor, Mr. Kenna, that you have no legal rights to do this. You know, my brother's not a child that lacks capacity. You've not established that he lacks capacity, and in order for you to take him like this, my brother clearly was abducted 5 years ago, and you, the local authority, had him in your care and clutches at Linfield Mount Hospital, and you were playing these silly bugger games where on the one hand you were saying he lacks capacity to be detained under the Mental Health Act, to continue to be detained under the Mental Health Act, and wanted to remove me as the nearest relative. But then at the same time you forced him to sign over his DWP appointeeship rights to you under duress in October 2018. And so this is an ongoing matter, isn't it? And it's been an ongoing matter for some time. It's the situation never really stops. It's just one situation after another situation. So you initially abducted him on the 3rd of August 2018, had him in your unlawful care and custody then up until December, and then when he was released back to me in January, you, the local authority, did not put an appropriate care package in place. You simply dumped him upon myself, and much to my protests at the time, saying no, I need to ensure that he has a care package in place, and I need you to definitively address the question of his mental capacity so he can sign over his lasting power of attorney to me. And your colleagues Nadia Khan and Vicina Brown, who have been fronted to persecute and hound me and my brother, were refusing to engage with us at that time. So yes, it was one situation had ended, and then obviously in January 2019 and February 2019, you desisted in persecuting my brother Talib and focused in on my mother. From 2019, February 2019 to February 2021, you're fully aware that you then were persecuting and hounding and focusing, on doing much the same of abducting my mother and looking to have her in your lawful care and custody so you can financially plunder from her resources. And so that's what you achieved in February 2021, and by January 2022 you had killed her off. And then subsequently in February 2022, you have now been colluding with the Housing Association in order to put this malicious case of unlawful trespass, which you are orchestrating and spearheading, and simply fronting the Housing Association in order to take the matter to the court so you can buy off the judges and the courts in order to railroad an outcome. And that's now been going on since February 2022 until August 2023, when you've now unlawfully kidnapped him. And the matter still goes on, the situation still goes on. But I'm just reminded that this did not start in August 2018, 5 years ago. In fact, it's quite pertinent that today is the 15th of October 2023. But if I go back in time to 15th of October 2014, so 2014, or 15th of October 2014, over 11 years ago, on this very day, 15th of October 2014, you had me in a police station interviewing me for the second time, less than a month after you had murdered my brother Nazem on the 18th of September 2014. And at the time you were interviewing me at police custody in order to pursue the case of putting me to jail for fraud. That was a fraud case that you were interviewing me on, where this was a second interview on the 15th of October 2020. 15th of October 2014. So after you had murdered my brother in September 2014, you were interviewing me, and whilst I was detained at custody, your colleagues, social workers, Kosa Begum, was at my mother's house trying to get her to make a statement against me, and that all failed terribly. But just mindfully, that the first interview, the first time you arrested me, was in on the 17th of December, the 9 or 10 months earlier, in 17th of December 2013, when you, the police, came and arrested me on charges of financial abuse. So there was a financial abuse then, and now it's a neglect. But in financial abuse, you were trying to take the money away from us because you had been nosing into my finances and discovered our substantial trust fund resources. So that's what you did in 2013. Yeah, 2013. But that's not the start of it as well, is it? Because if you traverse backwards in time, it always goes back to 2002, when you had originally arrested me on the 22nd of December 2002 on charges of assault. So at the time, you, the local authority, had instructed West Yorkshire Police to come and arrest me because there was an individual, my late father, who was living on his own, whom you had abandoned, who was undiagnosed with dementia, which you all knew about, and you were looking to save money then. And when I had intervened to look after my father, you had told the police to come over and arrest me on charges that I had been physically assaulting my relatives, my late father and my sister, who I have a very close relationship with now in Oldham. So that's what you did in 2002, isn't it? That's what you were trying to target me then, and the situation has never ended. So since December 2002 until now, 21 years ago, you started this, and you've been continually persecuting and hounding me and my family, exploiting our vulnerabilities, and through a racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic narrative and agenda. So that was all that time ago. 21 years you've been hounding and persecuting me and my family and terrorizing us, and it's just indicative. So first you tried to get me for physically abusing and assaulting people under domestic abuse charges. That all failed because you could not get a statement from my father or my sister. You had coached her to give a statement, who was then gonna act as my defense witness. So that case failed. Subsequently, you're
approaching the maximum allowed time for recording a message. If you wish to record further, please choose the append option from the menu. If you've finished recording, just hang up. If you don't carry on recording or hang up, your message will be deleted. To listen to your message, press 1. To re-record your message, press 2. To continue recording your message, press 3. Please record the rest of your message after the tone. When you've finished recording, press the hash key.
So as I was saying, you originally arrested me in December 2002 on charges of domestic abuse. You've then arrested me on the 17th of December 2013 on charges of financial abuse. And now you've had me arrested in August 2023 on charges of neglect when I'm living with the person. And it's all falling apart. You had me in a police interview on the 15th of August 2014 trying to frame me whilst I was at the police station. You were trying to coach my mother into making statements against me. And that's what you're doing. You always coach people. Are you trying to coach my brother Talib to make statements against me now? This is just simply ridiculous. You know fully that this is all your fault as a local authority. We're in this situation because you have a desperate need to save on costs and finances, and you're looking to lay blame upon me as an easy target.
The maximum time available for recording your message. To listen to your message, press 1. To re-record your message, press 2. If you are happy with your message, press 4. To specify a message sent. Goodbye.
So as I've been leaving messages to Mr. Kenna, as you can see, that this is an ongoing saga. It's a 21-year-old saga that's been ongoing since my initial arrest. Since my initial arrest on the 22nd of December 2002, like I said, but that's not the start of it. That's only when I got involved. Now, my initial involvement, only happened after my graduation in July 2000. And in July 2000, I attended a multidisciplinary meeting at Warmer Lodge where the city solicitor was then involved. So the city solicitor at the time was involved at the initial meeting. So I initially met not Mr. Kenna, but a different city solicitor back in July of 2000 when I had graduated. And at the time, they were all plotting and planning and conspiring to have my brother permanently taken into the local authorities' care. But they still needed a legal framework because my mother was his guardian, and I had attended, and that put a spanner in the works. So that's when my initial involvement is from July 2000 when I had graduated and I attended this meeting. But in relation to my family and in relation to my brother Nazim, the situation goes back a further 20 years to 1983 when he initially became, diagnosed with mental health and problems of schizophrenia and became known to the authorities. So we as a family have been clearly known to the authorities, Bradford Council, Bradford District Care Trust, and West Yorkshire Police since 1983 when my brother initially suffered a mental breakdown, and I was only maybe 5 or 6 years old then. So this drama has been going on for 40 years now, and for them to play off that they have absolutely no accountability, no responsibility for what's happening, and I myself as a carer, as a disenfranchised individual, I'm the villainous person, and they, the local authority, are the benevolent party, when it's quite clearly evidential that they cannot care for the children's services which has been taken away from them. They cannot do anything like this. They have been hounding and persecuting me and my family for decades now. 4 decades. Not just 4 decades, 4 decades. 40 years they've been hounding my family and persecuting and victimizing us and making us all fight with each other, becoming estranged. They're trying to sink my mother's ship, and I'm here to survive, to make sure that my mother's ship is unsinkable. And they're trying to sink my mother's relationships and degrade and humiliate us. Now finally they've taken away my brother Talib to trying to break down our world and our family, and obviously I'm fighting them, and they're simply not going to give an answer. They love to give you the silent treatment because they're an authority. This is also psychological abuse, isn't it? Where they've taken my brother and they're not giving me the basic of information of where he is or what condition he's in or how is he keeping. They're not going to tell me any of this stuff. They're going to psychologically torture me, degrade and humiliate me so that they can have advantage over me, and then they're going to buy off the judges to lie and manipulate and put together an agenda and a narrative that's to my detriment and to their advantage. And it's all about profit and gain before people. It's all about profit and gain and power and control over people's lives that they look to destroy. Now they've been destroying lives. They love to destroy lives. They love to create a facade and animosity between individuals, particularly breaking down families. They love to target mothers to take away their children and make them suffer. And I'm not the only one. There's loads of people that are suffering at the hands, up and down the country, at the hands of these villainous social workers that take away their children. But it's not the social workers themselves. It's the management, the middle management and the upper management and the executives that instigate this, because they are the ones that okay and make the decision. The social workers can only raise concerns and elevate them to the appropriate management team, and the management, and this is a higher decision when they're taking matters to court, and they're abusing the power and trust placed on them by the public in order for them to make profit and gain through this whole adoption scam that they're pulling in order to make money from the government to put people into foster care. But then now they are so emboldened with that enterprise and how profitable it is that they've now, obviously in my particular case, moved on to adult care, adult social care, or carer fraud or guardianship fraud, where they're looking to take guardianship of somebody under the simple guise that they lack mental capacity so they can exploit and and plunder their finances. No different to what is more popularized by the Britney Spears situation in America. I think it's called a it's not called a guardianship there. I mean, no, it's not called a guardianship order. It's called a conveyancing order, or basically where Britney Spears' father has taken control over finances. So similarly, in this situation, I think it's called conservatorship. Yeah, in America they call it conservatorship. Here they call it financial deputy. But it's the same thing. But in that situation, at least it's the father that was still controlling the finances. In this situation, it's the local authority that's controlling the situation and trying to control my brother's lives. But in America, they have a guardianship, which is the equivalent of the deputyship for health and welfare, which they don't have in this instance. There is no deputy for health and welfare. The lasting power for health and welfare that my brother signed over to me has been removed, and so therefore they're now acting unlawfully in order to take control of my brother. They've already acted unlawfully, but through the public guardian Nick Goodwin, who's now the head of the courts and tribunal services, who knew the fact that suspending my lasting power of attorney for health and welfare and not having a replacement in place was clearly negligent on their part, and neglectful and negligent on the part of the public guardian and the local authority, and this is just simply ridiculous. There must be no framework for the local authority to act as health and welfare deputy, and that's why they probably haven't got that on, because there's nothing stopping them from getting a health and welfare deputy if the judges are all bought off and in their pocket. But I think it wouldn't be proving more difficult. So the only framework that they're working on now is just simply stating best interest. But simply stating best interest does not give you as a local authority, you just can't go to somebody's house and say, best interest, we're taking you now, we're going to take you away from your family, and not let anybody know about this, not taking any of your private property, changing your correspondence, giving you medication, rehousing you. You can't just do that on the whim of just best interest without providing a legal framework. Now obviously my brother's been kept like this. This is against the law. It goes even back to habeas corpus. You can't hold somebody's corpus, namely the body, without presenting it before a tribunal. Now this is 68 days later that they are holding my brother without bringing, in clear violation of habeas corpus, because you can't just detain people the state can't just detain people indefinitely. This is not Guantanamo Bay that they can just detain people indefinitely without informing us. They have 68 days that they've held my brother without any legal framework. Even under the Mental Capacity Act, they can only hold him for 28 days under a Section 2 before having to look to have that extended under a Section 3. At least there's a Mental Health Act law in place. This time there is no law in place. It's all fraudulent, it's all corrupt, it's all been done under the hand through the commissioning of the judges and the judiciary in order to cover up the fraud and deception and lies that have caught the local authority committing. And this is not just about money, this is about human life. The murdering and killing people off by exploiting and plundering their finances and driving them into an early grave so they can save on